We are in Luke 21. And looking up, he saw the rich putting their gifts into the treasury, and he saw a certain poor widow putting in 2 mites. And he said, "Truly I say to you, that this poor widow has put in more than all. For all these out of their excess have put in offerings for Elohim, but she out of her poverty has put in all that she had to live on." And as some were speaking about the set-apart place, that it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts, he said, "These that you see, the days are coming, in which not one stone shall be left upon another, that shall not be thrown down." And they asked him, saying, "Teacher, but when shall this be? And what is the sign when this is about to take place?" And he said, "See that you are not led astray. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am, and the time is near. Then do not go after them. But when you hear of fightings and unrests, do not be alarmed, for these have to take place first. But the end is not immediately." Then he said to them, "Nation shall rise against nation, and reign against reign, and there shall be great earthquakes in various places, and scarcities of food, and deadly diseases. And there shall be horrors and great signs from heaven. But before all this, they shall lay their hands on you, and persecute you, delivering you up to the congregations and prisons, being brought before sovereigns and rulers for my name's sake." Excuse me. Ooh. And it shall turn out to you for a witness. Therefore resolve in your hearts not to premeditate on what to answer. For I shall give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to refute or resist. And you shall also be betrayed by parents and brothers and relatives and friends, and some of you shall be put to death, and you shall be hated by all because of my name. But not a hair of your head shall be lost at all. Possess your lives by your endurance. And when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its laying waste is near. Then let those in Yehuda flee to the mountains, and let those who are in the midst of her go out, and let not those who are in the fields enter her, because these are days of vengeance, to fill all that have been written. And woe to those who are pregnant, and to those who are nursing children in those days, for there shall be great distress in the earth, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trampled underfoot by the nations, until the times of the nations are filled. And there shall be signs in the sun and moon and stars, and on the earth anxiety of nations, and bewilderment at the roaring of the sea, and agitation, men fainting from fear, and the expectation of what is coming on the earth, for the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then they shall see the Son of Adam coming in a cloud, with power and much esteem. And when these matters begin to take place, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption draws near. And he spoke a parable to them. Look at the fig tree and all the trees when they have already budded. Observing it, you shall know for yourselves that summer is now near. So you also, when you see those matters take place, know that the reign of Elohim is near. Truly I say to you, this generation shall by no means pass away till all shall have taken place. And heaven and the earth shall pass away, but my words shall by no means pass away. And take heed to yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down by gluttony and drunkenness and worries of this life, and that day come on you suddenly, for it shall come as a snare on all those dwelling on the face of the earth. Watch then at all times, and pray that you be counted worthy to escape all this about to take place, and to stand before the Son of Adam. And he was teaching in the set-apart place by day, but at night he went out and stayed on the mountain of Olives. And early in the morning, all the people came to him in the set-apart place to hear him. And the festival of Matzah drew near. Chapter 22. And the festival of Matzah drew near, which is called Pesach. And the chief priests and scribes were seeking how to kill him, for they feared the people. And Satan entered into Yehuda, who was called Man, from Kerioth, who was numbered among the 12. And he went and spoke with the chief priests and captains, how he might deliver him up to them. And they were glad. Trying to get this knee brace off. They were glad and agreed to give him silver. And he promised and was seeking an occasion to deliver him up to them, away from the crowd. And the day of unleavened bread came when the Pesach had to be slaughtered. And he sent Kepha and Yohanan, saying, "Go and prepare the Pesach for us to eat." And they said to him, "Where do you wish us to prepare?" And he said to them, "See, as you enter into the city, a man shall meet you, carrying a jar of water. Follow him into the house he enters, and you shall say to the master of the house, 'The teacher says to you, where is the guest room where I might eat the Pesach with my taught ones?' And he shall show you a large furnished upper room. Prepare it there." And going, they found it as he had said to them, and they prepared the Pesach. And when the hour had come, he sat down, and the 12 emissaries with him. And he said to them, "With desire I have desired to eat this Pesach with you before my suffering. For I say to you, I shall certainly not eat of it again until it is filled in the reign of Elohim." And taking the cup, giving thanks, he said, "Take this and divide it among yourselves. For I say to you, I shall certainly not drink of the fruit of the vine until the reign of Elohim comes." And taking bread, giving thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Likewise the cup also, after supper, saying, "This cup is the renewed covenant in my blood, which is shed for you. But see, the hand of him delivering me up is with me on the table. For indeed the Son of Adam goes as has been decreed, but woe to that man by whom he is delivered up." And they began to ask among themselves which of them it could be who was about to do this. And there also took place a dispute among them as to which of them seemed to be greater. And he said to them, the sovereigns of the nations rule over them, and those who control them are called workers of good. But not with you. But let him who is greatest among you be as the youngest, and the leader as one who serves. For who is greater, the one who sits at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one who sits at the table? But I am in your midst as the one who serves. But you are those who have remained with me in my trials. And I covenant for you, as my Father covenanted for me a reign, to eat and drink at my table in my reign, and to sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And the master said, "Shimon, Shimon, see, Satan has asked for you to sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, that your belief should not fail, and when you have turned, strengthen your brothers." And he said to him, "Master, I am prepared to go with you, both to prison and to death." And he said, "I say to you, Kepha, the cock shall not crow at all today, until you have denied 3 times that you know me." And he said to them, when I sent you without purse and bag and sandals, did you lack any? And they said, none at all. And he said to them, but now let him who has a purse take it, likewise also a bag, and let him who has no sword sell his garment and buy one. For I say to you that what has been written has yet to be accomplished in me. And he was reckoned with lawless ones. For that which refers to me has an end too. And they said, Master, look, here are 2 swords. But he said to them, that is enough. And coming out, he went to Mount of Olives according to usage. And his taught ones also followed him. And coming to the place, he said to them, pray that you do not enter into trial. And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw, and falling on his knees, he was praying, saying, Father, if it be your counsel, remove this cup from me, yet not my desire, but let yours be done. And there appeared a messenger from heaven to him, strengthening him. And being in agony, he was praying more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And rising up from prayer and coming to his taught ones, he found them sleeping from grief. And he said to them, why do you sleep? Rise and pray, lest you enter into trial. And while he was still speaking, see, a crowd, and he who was called Yehuda, one of the 12, was going before them, and came near to Yeshua to kiss him. And Yeshua said to him, Yehuda, do you deliver up the son of Adam with a kiss? And those around him, seeing what was about to take place, said to him, Master, shall we strike with the sword? And one of them struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his right ear. But Yeshua answering said, allow it this far. And touching his ear, he healed him. And Yeshua said to those who had come against him, the chief priests and the captains of the set-apart place, and the elders, have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs? While I was with you daily in the set-apart place, you did not lay hands on me. But this is your hour and the authority of darkness. And having seized him, they led him and brought him to the house of the high priest. And Kepha was following at a distance. And when they had lit a fire in the midst of the courtyard and sat down together, Kepha sat among them. And a certain servant girl, seeing him as he sat by the fire, looked intently at him and said, and this one was with him. But he denied him, saying, Woman, I do not know him. And after a little while another saw him and said, You are one of them too. But Kepha said, Man, I am not. And about an hour later, another insisted, Truly, this one was with him too, for he is a Galilean too. But Kepha said, Man, I do not know what you are saying. And immediately, while he was still speaking, a cock crowed. And the master turned and looked at Kepha, and Kepha remembered the word of the master, how he had said to him, Before a cock crows, you shall deny me 3 times. And Kepha went out and wept bitterly. And the men who were holding Yeshua were mocking him, beating him. And having blindfolded him, they were striking him on the face, and were asking him, saying, Prophesy, who is it that struck you? And they said to him, Much more blasphemy. And when it came to be, the elders of the people, both chief priests and scribes, came together, and they led him into their council, saying, If you are the Messiah, say it to us. And he said to them, If I say to you, you would not believe it at all. And if I asked you, you would not answer me at all. From now on, the Son of Adam shall sit on the right hand of the power of Elohim. And they all said, Are you then the Son of Elohim? And he said to them, You say that I am. And they said, Why do we need further witness? For we heard it ourselves from his mouth. Chapter 23. And the entire assembly of them, having risen up, led him to Pilate, and began to accuse him, saying, We found this one perverting the nation, and forbidding to pay taxes to Caesar, saying yet, he himself is Messiah, a sovereign. And Pilate asked him, saying, Are you the sovereign of the Yehudim? And answering him, he said, You say it. And Pilate said to the chief priests and the crowd, I find no guilt in this man. But they were insisting, saying, He stirs up the people, teaching through all Yehuda, beginning from Galilee unto this place. And when Pilate heard of Galilee, he asked of the man, if the man were a Galilean. And when he learned that he was under the authority of Herodes, he sent him to Herodes, who was also in Jerusalem in those days. And seeing Yeshua, Herodes rejoiced greatly. For a long time he had wished to see him, because he had heard much about him, and was anticipating to see some miracle done by him, and was questioning him with many words. But he gave him no answer. And the chief priests and the scribes stood accusing him intensely. And Herodes, with his soldiers, made light of him, and mocked him, dressing him in a splendid robe, and sent him back to Pilate. And on that day Pilate and Herodes became friends with each other. Excuse me. For before that they had been at enmity with each other. And Pilate, having called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people, said to them, you brought this man to me as one who turns away the people. And look, I have examined him in your presence, and have found no guilt in this man regarding the charges which you make against him. And neither did Herodes, for I sent you back to him. And look, he has done none at all deserving death. Having disciplined him then, I shall release him, for he had to release one of them at the festival. And they cried out all together, saying, away with this one, and release to us Barabbas, who had been thrown into prison for a certain uprising made in the city, and for murder. Wishing to release Yeshua then, Pilate appealed to them again, but they were calling out, saying, impale him. And he said to them the third time, why? What evil has he done? I have found no reason for death in him. Having disciplined him then, I shall release him. But with loud voices they insisted, asking for him to be impaled, and the voices of these men and of the chief priests were prevailing. And Pilate pronounced sentence that what they asked should be done. And he released the one they had asked for, who for uprising and murder had been thrown into prison. But he handed Yeshua over to their wishes. And as they led him away, they laid hold of a certain man, Shimon, a Cyrenian, who was coming from the field, and they put the stake on him to bear it behind Yeshua. And a great number of the people were following him, and women who also were mourning and lamenting him. But Yeshua, turning to them, said, daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For look, days are coming in which they shall say, blessed are the barren and wombs that never bore, and the breasts which never nursed. Then they shall begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. Because if they do this to the green tree, what is going to be done to the dry tree? And to others also, evildoers, were led with him to be put to death. And when they had come to the place called Golgotha, they impaled him there, and the evildoers, one on the right and the other on the left. And Yeshua said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they divided his garments and cast lots. And the people were standing, looking on, and the rulers also were sneering with them, saying, he saved others, let him save himself, if he is the Messiah, the chosen of Elohim. And the soldiers were mocking him too, coming and offering him sour wine, and saying, if you are the sovereign of the Yehudim, save yourself. And there was also an inscription written over him in letters of Greek and Roman and Hebrew, this is the sovereign of the Yehudim. And one of the evildoers who were hanged was speaking evil of him, saying, if you are the Messiah, save yourself and us. But the other, responding, rebuked him, saying, do you not even fear Elohim, since you are under the same judgment? And we indeed rightly so, for we receive the due reward for our deeds, but this one has done no wrong. And he said to Yeshua, Master, remember me when you come into your reign. And Yeshua said to him, truly I say to you today, you shall be with me in paradise. And it was now about the 6th hour, and darkness came over all the land until the 9th hour, and the sun was darkened, and the veil of the dwelling place was torn in two. And crying out with a loud voice, Yeshua said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And having said this, he breathed his last. And the captain, seeing what took place, praised Elohim, saying, Truly this man was righteous. And when all the crowds who had gathered to that sight saw what took place, they beat their breasts and went away. And all those who knew him and the women who followed him from Galilee stood at a distance watching this. And see, a man named Joseph, a council member, a good and righteous man, he was not agreeing with their counsel. Indeed, from Ramathaim, a city of the Yehudim, who himself was also waiting for the reign of Elohim, he, going to Pilate, asked for the body of Yeshua, and taking it down, he wrapped it in linen and laid it in a tomb hewn out of the rock where no one was yet laid. And it was preparation day, and the Sabbath was approaching. And the women who had come with him from Galilee followed after, and saw the tomb and how his body was laid. And having returned, they prepared spices and perfumes, and they rested on the Sabbath according to the command. Chapter 24. But on day 1 of the week, at early dawn, they came to the tomb, bringing the spices which they had prepared, and they found the stone rolled away from the tomb. And having entered, they did not find the body of the Master Yeshua. And it came to be, as they were perplexed about this, that see, 2 men stood by them in glittering garments. And becoming frightened and bowing their faces to the earth, these said to them, Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here, but has been raised up. Remember how he spoke to you when he was still in Galilee, saying, The Son of Adam has to be delivered into the hands of sinners and be impaled, and the 3rd day rise again. And they remembered his words, and having returned from the tomb, they reported all this to the 11 and to all the rest. And it was Miriam from Magdala, and Yohanan, and Miriam, the mother of Jacob, and the rest with them, who told this to the emissaries. And their words appeared to them to be nonsense, and they did not believe them. But Kepha rose and ran to the tomb, and stooping down, he saw the linen wrappings lying by themselves, and he went away home, marveling at what took place. And see, 2 of them were going that same day to a village called Emmaus, which was 60 stadia from Jerusalem. And they were talking to each other of all this which had taken place. And it came to be, as they were talking and resonating, that Yeshua himself drew near and went with them. But their eyes were restrained, so that they did not know him. And he said to them, What are these words you are exchanging with each other as you are walking, and you are sad? And the one whose name was Cleophas, answering, said to him, Are you the lone visitor in Jerusalem who does not know what took place in it these days? And he said to them, What? And they said to him, Concerning Yeshua of Nazareth, who was a prophet and mighty in deed and word before Elohim and all the people, and how the chief priests and our rulers delivered him to be condemned to death and impaled him. We, however, were expecting that it was he who was going to redeem Israel. But besides all this, today is the 3rd day since these matters took place. But certain women of ours who arrived at the tomb early also astonished us. When they did not find his body, they came saying that they had also seen a vision of messengers who said he was alive. And some of those with us went to the tomb and found it, as also the women had said, and they did not see him. And he said to them, O thoughtless ones, and slow of heart to believe in all that the prophets have spoken. Was it not necessary for the Messiah to suffer these and to enter into his esteem? And beginning at Moshe and all the prophets, he was explaining to them in all the scriptures the matters concerning himself. And they approached the village where they were going, and he seemed to be going on. But they urged him strongly, saying, Stay with us, for it is toward evening, and the day has declined. And he went in to stay with them. And it came to be, when he sat at the table with them, having taken the bread, he blessed, and having broken, he was giving it to them. And their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. And he disappeared from their sight. And they said to each other, was not our heart burning within us as he was speaking to us on the way, and as he was opening the scriptures to us? And rising up that same hour, they returned to Jerusalem and found the 11 and those who were with them gathered together, saying, the Master was truly raised and has appeared to Shimon. And they related what took place on the way and how he was recognized by them in the breaking of bread. And as they were saying this, Yeshua himself stood in the midst of them and said to them, peace to you. And being startled and frightened, they thought they had seen a spirit. And he said to them, why are you troubled? And why do doubts arise in your hearts? See my hands and my feet, that it is myself. Handle me and see, for a spirit does not have flesh and bones, as you see I have. And saying this, he showed them his hands and his feet. And while they were still not believing for joy and marveling, he said to them, have you any food here? And they gave him a piece of a broiled fish and some honeycomb. And taking it, he ate in their presence. And he said to them, these are the words which I have spoken to you while I was still with you, that all have to be filled that were written in the Torah of Moshe and the prophets and the Tehillim concerning me. Then he opened their minds to understand the scriptures, and said to them, thus it has been written, and so it was necessary for the Messiah to suffer and to rise again from the dead the third day, and that repentance and forgiveness of sins should be proclaimed in his name to all nations, beginning at Jerusalem. And you are witnesses of these matters. And see, I am sending the promise of my Father upon you. But you are to remain in the city of Jerusalem until you are clothed with power from on high. And he led them out as far as Bethania, and lifting up his hands, he blessed them. And it came to be, while he was blessing them, that he was parted from them, and was taken up into the heaven. And they, having bowed down to him, returned to Jerusalem with great joy, and were continually in the set-apart place, praising and blessing Elohim. Amen. Shalom.